Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to the first episode for Queen Strategy Partners from the Ground Up, real-time issues with real-time solutions for MWBE businesses. I'm so excited to just share with you how this wonderful joint venture came together with three powerful business women, understanding that you can do more together than by yourself. So our partners are Danielle Douglas, Nicole Valentine, Esquire, and myself, Dr. Stacie N.C. Grant. And we came together because of a mutual friend thinking that, you all do just amazing work in your respective companies and businesses. I think you should talk and meet and see what's available out there in the world for you to conquer in this government contracting space and what that could look like working together. And we were excited to do that because it allowed us all to really work on the best version of ourselves and bring our skill sets and our capacity and our years of experience together to really provide solutions in the MWBE space. So Danielle Douglas is the president of Inspire Enterprise. Nicole Valentine, Esquire, is the president of Synergy Business Development and Solutions, and I am the president of C&G Enterprises in Unlimited LLC. So today's show is going to be a really interesting one, and I'm going to kick it over to our co-host Danielle Douglas to tell you a little bit more about what we'll be talking about on today's show.
So good morning, everyone. I am really excited about you making the decision to spend an hour out of your Tuesday morning to hang out with Stacie and I. We are really excited about this series, and we guarantee you that this is going to be a little different from what you've been experiencing for the past month and a half. The reason I say that is because I've been on a ton of different webinars, and a lot of them have focused on, the PPP program and the EIDL program. But what has been lacking and where there's been really a gap is to really help business owners right now connect the dots and really have real-time solutions about what they're going through and give them resources to help them as well. So Stacie, Nicole, and myself, we saw where there was a critical need, and we said we're going to be the trailblazers. We're going to fill that gap and come up with this series to assist you and provide you with resources to help you. This is a collaborative effort between us and you. And we know that the foundation has been shaken from under us and that we feel like we've gone through the cracks of our foundation and hit the bottom, but we know there's only one way to go, and that is up. So we're here to assist you and to be a partner with you to lay brick by brick to build a new foundation, okay? So what is today's show about? I want to just lay the foundation on how we came up with this show, okay? I don't know if you've ever heard of a book called Good to Great. The author Jim Collins coined a phrase, the Stockdale Paradox. And the subject matter of the book is about how Fortune 500 companies were able to pivot successfully and make a transition from being good to being great. How did Jim Collins come up with this phrase? He based it on the real life story of Admiral James Stockdale. He was a decorated United States naval officer who was a prisoner of war from 1965 to 1973. And he was able to survive and come home and see his family after 8 years of being imprisoned. So what is the Stockdale Paradox? It simply states, retain faith that you will prevail in the end, regardless of the difficulties, and at the same time confront the most brutal facts of your current reality, whatever they may be. This Stockdale Paradox is such a powerful concept in both life and business. And Stacie and my goal today is really to speak to the importance of faith for sustenance and multiplication during this time. And those key operative words is faith, sustenance, and multiplication. Faith speaks to a mindset, and sustenance and multiplication speaks to some of the practical steps that you need to take during this time. So I'm going to turn it back over to Stacie, my partner in crime, so she can lead us into the topic of discussion today, which is the 5 steps to pivoting, finding your vessels.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Danielle, for that. And I really hope that the paradox is one that you all can just embrace in this moment, that is going to take faith, sustenance, and multiplication to get us out of where we are in this current COVID reality that we're dealing with. And regardless of what you're going through, if you are a business person, you have to have some level of faith, right? You have to have some level of belief that what you're providing in the marketplace is actually going to be needed and rewarded, and you're going to get your ROI for the investment that you have made to be bold enough to step out and become a business owner. So when we talk about the faith piece and just really understanding some of the stories that are really precious to me from one of my favorite books, and it's the story of Elijah. It's a story of understanding that when it looks like all hope is lost, when it looks like everything is just done, there's a biblical story about a widower who's like, look, this is it. I have the last bit of meal. I'll make my last meal. My child and I were just going to die because it just seemed so bleak. Her situation seemed like the COVID-19, right? That we don't know how we're going to come out of this. Everybody is curious, and we talk about pivoting, how are we going to pivot, how are we going to make it, how are we going to make money. And there was a moment where she was challenged in her faith to listen to who she believed to be a man of God, to say, I need you to make me a meal first and then take care of yourself. And I don't know about you, right now businesses have to think differently. They're thinking differently about how they're servicing their client, and knowing your bottom line, you might not feel is secure. Right, Danielle? So when we talk about the perspective of, are you going to just make your last meal or die? Or are you going to put yourself in a position to sustain yourself for a better tomorrow, believing that what you have, you can actually utilize in a positive way?
I totally agree with you, Stacie. And I think that in that pivotal moment that Elijah told her, feed me first, go and make me a cake and feed me first, and then feed yourself and your child. She had to make a very critical decision, because I don't know about you, but I know I would have been like, I don't know what you're talking about. I got this last little meal and you're asking me to feed you first. But she had to really understand that Elijah was speaking on behalf of God. And he saw, she saw a moment where she could change the destiny of her and her child. But that takes critical faith, and that takes a certain mindset, because we all have a choice right now. If we think we have minimal resources and we are just like, I don't know what to do, I can't do anything. I might as well just go in the corner and just, from a business perspective, close my doors. I heard you, Stacie, on a webinar yesterday. You did a phenomenal job. And one of the people on the webinar with you yesterday, she talked about walking down the street and she saw a sign on a business that said, we are closed because we ran out of supplies. How symbolic is that of what we're talking about, of like you just shutting down and saying, we ran out of supplies, we ran out of resources. So you have a choice of shutting down and saying, I don't know what to do, I ran out of resources. Or you can have a choice to say, how am I going to take the resources that I have and multiply them? And again, that takes faith and perspective.
Absolutely. And I think when you talk about capacity and moving into the conversation of constantly building capacity, and that's one of your sweet spots that you love to help and assist businesses with enterprise. And this right now is a capacity conversation to the highest degree. And that same webinar, there was a young lady who, they have a transportation business. They work with the airports and airlines. That's not happening right now. But they thought about capacity. They still had the ability to move things from point A to point B. So they had to shift and pivot. And now they're delivering food, meals on wheels. So that's literally looking at, I still have the ability to do a service. I just might not be able to deliver it the same way that I was delivering it. And when you think about the widower, she had meal, she had something. But now the faith that we first talked about led her to see there was greater capacity here than I thought about. And then looking in your resources and how you can really be intentional about how you now utilize the resources in real time to still produce the benefit in a different way. It might not come packaged the same way as what your original business plan outlined, but if you want to survive, you're looking at your resources differently and how those resources can now be an answer, because that's what everyone should be thinking about in COVID-19. How are you being an answer? How are you providing solutions to what your customers and your clients need?
And Stacie, just to build upon what you said in regards to the oil and the handful full of mill that she had, that's just one resource, right? But she was able to take that resource based on her faith and multiply it, because she had enough food for her and her child in the prophet Elijah to last her throughout the drought, right? And so therefore she was able to build her capacity and expand. But there's other type of resources, right? There's the fact that Elijah was a strategic partner with her during this time. And so by partnering with someone, she was able to expand and build her capacity, right? And so therefore you have an opportunity to get additional resources. So I think during this time, this is an opportunity for us as business owners to think about how we can collaborate, and where we are lacking in resources to connect with others that they can bring to us what we lack, and we can bring to them what they lack, so that we can have a synergistic ability to go out into the market and make things happen. So it's again about perspective, and there's different ways that we can build our capacity. And I think right now, collaboration and strategic partnership is just a very important way for us to do that.
Absolutely. I mean, we're doing it right now. That's what Queen Strategy Partners is all about, is collaborating. One of the things that I believe from the bottom of my soul is you can't do this thing called life alone. You can try and you might succeed, but it's so much better when you can link arms and aims with like-minded people who are on the same trajectory, who understand that we're stronger together. You know, that's some of the messaging that we're hearing even from our own government in New York, that we're stronger together working through this crisis. And, you know, New Yorkers, we have a sense of family and community that comes out in the worst of times. But bringing it back down to your business, it's really looking at how do you look for those strategic partners? How do you find those individuals that you can collaborate with so you can get your return on investment and everybody wins? It just doesn't have to be one person's business survives. How do multiple businesses survive? How does this young woman who has a transportation company now pivots to Meals on Wheels? How can she maybe collaborate with a restaurant? And the restaurant is now able to provide meals and to gain income, and she's able to do the deliveries, then both businesses win. So that's just one example when we talk about real-time solutions in this time for us to look at how we pivot and the steps of getting us there.
Agreed. And then when you look at that, you have to look at your return on investment as well, right? Because with the minimal resources that we may have right now, we have to utilize them effectively and efficiently to maximize the yield we can get from them. And so that's why it's critically important, Stacie, to be strategic about who you're working with and how you're utilizing your resources so that you could get the maximum return on investment from those resources.
Absolutely. So we hope you've been taking a few notes on each of the steps in pivoting from perspective to capacity, resources, strategic partners, and your ROI, your return on investment. So we wanted to just open up the conversation with that, but then we want to bring some resources. We want to bring some information, some solutions with some special guests that will be joining us on today's show. So I'm excited to introduce our first guest. He has served as the leader of RDRC, which is the Rockaway Development and Revitalization Corporation, since 2006, where he's responsible for executing programs and services focused on building equity and equality of low, moderate income youth, adults, and families. And during his tenure, with the support of his team, he's raised and deployed over $25 million in human services programs, created over 15,000 temporary and permanent jobs for local residents, and recognized for his efforts in workforce development. In 2018, he was appointed co-chair of the JFK Redevelopment Advisory Council Committee on Workforce and Career Development by the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey. He's tasked with coordinating employment, recruitment, training efforts to create a pipeline of community residents to be hired in all phases of the $19 billion redevelopment program. And he also uses his expertise in city government and community development to help revitalize underserved neighborhoods such as Bradhurst, Harlem, Far Rockaway. He's created strategic partnerships with elected officials. I could go on and on about the amazing work that he does, but I can do better than that by allowing him to join into this conversation and really share with you what he is doing in a very practical way on the ground. And Danielle, both of us get a chance to work with him, me in the capacity at the JFK Redevelopment and the Advisory Council, and he's a joy to work with. But Danielle, why don't you talk about how you get to work with Kevin and helping business in real time right now?
So, Mr. Kevin Alexander, the one and only CEO and president of RDRC, was kind enough and had the vision to join in bringing the Enterprise Streetwise MBA program to Queens. You know, we thought that Kevin would be a great partner. We understood his heart and his passion for the community and bringing vital resources, especially now as we go through the JFK redevelopment, and even more so with COVID-19. And so I have the pleasure to really work with Kevin during this time to bring this resource that we'll be talking about to the community. So I'm excited about it. I know I'm speaking to Kevin, he's excited about it. And we're going to give him an opportunity to share with you how you can participate in this great resource that's about to happen. So with that said, Kevin, can you tell us a little about the Amplified Queens Streetwise MBA program that will be coming to the community?
Oh my goodness. In the most diverse county, borough in New York City, in New York State, and maybe the country, it would be a shame not to have more inclusion of small, local, and more importantly, MWBEs involved in all these projects that are going on, whether it be JFK, and I think it's at 19 billion now. I know in downtown Far Rockaway, we have the redevelopment project for $400 million. So there's a lot going on, and to not have participation and inclusion just seemed like a natural fit when we started having a conversation about a year ago about Enterprise and the Streetwise MBA program and bringing it to Queens County. So when we were first approached and we first started talking about it, all I kept thinking about was, this is a tremendous tool in our toolkit, and we don't have it, but we want it. And so the synergy between what Enterprise really focuses in on is inclusion. And what we try and do is to create a sense of equity within communities that are underserved, like Far Rockaway and the Rockaways and many other areas of Southeastern Queens. It just seemed to make sense because we have business owners that are also residents, they're stakeholders, and they want the opportunity not just to be subs and to get piecemeal work, but to be prime. And so the goal is to grow those businesses, but giving them the resources. Most important thing is what I enjoy is what you ladies are talking about. Dr. Grant, Danielle, you mentioned the 3 Fs. You talked about in oneself, you talked about in others, and of course in God. And so the Enterprise, the Streetwise Amplify MBA program is an investment in them because we believe in them, want to support them. And it's so ironic during this pandemic that's making everybody isolated. My natural instinct is to say, connect more. So the Streetwise MBA program, I believe it's a 13-week program, meets every other week, and it really a couple of cores. It has business leadership, financial management, sales and marketing, resource management, growth plan, execution. And so those are the core components of the program, but you're not by yourself. So it's the Enterprise team. It's Danielle Douglas with Inspire. It's your college. It's your college SBDC. It's RDRC. It's Greater Jamaica Development Corporation, all coming together to work on 20 businesses because we are their team. And I'm so excited to be a part of it and to bring it to Queens County, the borough of Queens, the most diverse borough, I think, in the United States. So that's very important for us as a small organization to always think about adding value. And you also talked about pivoting. So although we're a not-for-profit, we're thinking of ways not just to help ourselves, but to help others as well, so we can get the economy back on track. So we're so excited about this Queens Streetwise MBA program being launched. And I believe we're going to begin on September 23rd, which is a Wednesday. 22nd, I'm sorry. Yes. So we're very excited about that. And you're going to hear a lot more about that. We're going to do the press release. We're going to be doing the virtual sort of open house and a series of events, just getting everybody ready for what's about to happen. And I think it's going to be transformational. And we want this, it's starting as a pilot, but I want this to continue as long as there's a need for it in the communities that reflect us.
So Kevin, how do you think this program prepares business owners to take advantage of opportunities like what's happening at the JFK redevelopment?
Sure. So there are a lot of criteria, whether it's just the application with Port Authority of New York just to be able to be a vendor, whether it's the MWB application, that's an added layer. I always think about when we were helping out with Sandy, and we had the SBA, the SBDC, we had everybody in my office because we were a business recovery. I always think about the most comprehensive SBA loans and all the information, all that you have to have in order to just qualify for that. And so when I think about the Streetwise MBA program, it's helping you package all that. So it becomes not just the skill sets, but the behavioral changes you have to make to think about a growing and successful business. So that's what I see the connection with the JFK redevelopment. It's not a giveaway. You have to earn it, you have to prove it, you have to demonstrate it. So it really begins with that business owner investing in themselves. Not to say that we're not investing, because I believe the number is about $10,000 per person that's accepted into the Streetwise MBA program. So it's a sizable investment in them, but they have to want it more than us in order for them to get the benefits of that $19 billion or so and growing that's sitting there with a pot of money with a focus from the governor. I want local businesses impacted by this expansion to get the benefit, not just from the work, not just the temporary, but permanently over a long period of time, opportunities.
Absolutely. That's exciting. I'm excited to know that both of you are going to be working on this program, and Danielle's experience with Enterprise and, you know, what she's done in other boroughs. Now she gets to do it right in her backyard. So I'm really excited to see what'll happen. But how do you apply for the program? You mentioned that you're going to be doing some open houses. You have some things coming up. But if I'm listening, I'm like, hold on, this sounds pretty good, Kevin. How do I apply? How is the business apply and get themselves in position to be accepted into this program?
Well, there are a number of ways. So we've already created a launch page, and I can read that off. That's programs.enterprise.org/RDRC-amplify-Queens. But you can also reach me at kalexander@rdrc.org. and I can start that, we can start that whole process. But we will be probably doing our open house, I'm gonna say the last week of June. We're just trying to lock down the date, and it will be a virtual open house. And we'll be putting out just regular information. So we'll be doing social media, we'll be doing our electronic newsletter. We'll be using a number of outlets with our partners. I mentioned York College, the York College SBDC, Greater Jamaica Development Corporation. We'll be putting this information out constantly just to let people know this is how that you get to that next step.
Awesome. I love that. And I love the fact that you're making it accessible. So before someone counts themselves out, at least do your due diligence and apply. Come to the open house, get the information. So I'm glad that you're going to be doing quite a bit of marketing outreach so businesses can apply. But in addition to Enterprise and this wonderful Streetwise program that you are doing, you have other resources from RDRC that you're able to offer businesses in real time as we're dealing with this COVID reality. So what sort of business support services, tactical ways that you can help them in this moment be able to get on the other side of what we're seeing?
Sure. So one of the things that we had to do is, as a small not-for-profit, we had to do the pivoting as well, especially since we depend, or we really rely on a lot of the city-funded programs that we offer. So we actually had to go, for instance, to small business services and say, you know what, we're not going to do big outdoor events that attract 10,000 people into confined public spaces. Let's repurpose that and see if we can support local businesses. So we created an e-help desk. We have a number of persons that have financial backgrounds, housing counseling backgrounds. So we actually took their skill sets and said, basically, we will retrain you to support local businesses now because they need the assistance. I think in the Rockaways, we have about 1,000 businesses. And if that regional economy tanks, we've got a major problem. So for us, it's being able to support our local economy. And we were gracious to SBS because they allowed us to extend all the way through Southeastern Queens with the support service. So whether it's the application, and now more so, Danielle, it's about now that you've gotten your PPP, you want to make certain that you can get that 75% forgiven as a grant, but there are things that you have to do and have in place in order to make that a forgivable grant and not just a full loan. So a lot of support, a lot of marketing. A lot of the small businesses don't do any type of social media. They don't do Instacart. They're not Grubhub. They're not doing Seamless. We're going to have to get them onto that platform as a part of their business model. So I see this, we see this as the right time to think, not to think about it, but to do it now, because this might end up being the new norm.
I think that's a great point that you share when you talk about new norms. We don't know what everything's going to look like in a couple of months, a year from now, and being in position to really pivot with what we've been talking about today. It's excellent to know that you have that e-desk help. How do people get to that? So I would make sure that everyone that's listening knows how to actually connect with you for that additional support besides what they're going to be able to do for the Enterprise program.
We have a specific email for that. It's called ehelpdesk@rdrc.org.
So ehelpdesk, D-E-S-K,
yes,
at rdrc.org.
Correct.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much, Kevin. Danielle, I know you're excited about the work that you're going to do together. And as we appreciate your time this morning on a Tuesday to be here from the ground up, real-time issues and real-time solutions. Kevin Alexander, we salute you for being a solution to what we see in our community. And thank you for all the work that you do. It's a pleasure working with you on the JFK redevelopment program. And I'm excited on how we continue to pivot to provide value in our community.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kevin.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, Danielle's going to introduce our next special guest who is here with us. And Kevin, you can come back later on if we have a few minutes at the end to wrap up. But we're going to bring our next guest on.
So I have the good fortune to introduce Miriam Pericles. Miriam was a participant of the Brooklyn Managed Forward Streetwise MBA program. And that we did that about maybe 2 years ago. And she's also a local NWBE here, right here in the Southeast Queens community. So I called Myriam up and I said, Myriam, I would love for you to be part of our first series, talking about how to pivot and how you utilize this great resource to do that. So before we actually bring Myriam on, I do want to give her the formal introduction. And Marian Pericles is a seasoned project manager professional with over 20 years experience in delivering project management office operational excellence in media, entertainment, investment banking, and healthcare industries. Her passion for information technology was translated into attaining a Bachelor of Science in Mathematics and a Bachelor of Science in Computer Science from Hofstra University. Further, by completing an MBA in General Management from Doling College and a Master of Science in Computer Science from NYU Tandon School of Engineering. Marian Pericles is the CEO and owner of Alpha Omega Consulting, a certified minority and women-owned business enterprise, information technology firm in New York City. And she's also a member of the Project Management Institute and the National Association for Female Executives. So without further ado, I would like to introduce you to the one and only Marian Pericles. How are you doing, Myriam?
Danielle, how are you? Thank you everybody for giving me the opportunity to participate in this program here and this session here for today. It's definitely an honor. You know, as Danielle mentioned, I met her at the program that was held in Brooklyn. So I snuck into the Brooklyn program, and it was a blessing as I was able to, you know, gain a lot of knowledge that I needed to gain at that time and be able to grow my business from that opportunity.
So Myriam, my first question is exactly what you were about to lead into, and that is, as a business owner, what made you sign up for the Brooklyn Manage Forward Streetwise MBA program?
So, you know, I actually already had my MBA, as you already stated within my introduction, and I had a Master's in Computer Science as well. And I had been in business for a number of years, but still, you know, I felt that I was not as well equipped as I needed to be in order to scale up my business. You know, I also believe that one never ceases to learn, and I was seeking an opportunity to learn and grow my business and not be working in my business and have an opportunity to work on my business. Working on my business would permit me to be able to kind of formulate it in the correct way so that I could construct myself so that I could get additional projects that I was looking to get.
So Mary, I think you said something really, really important. I want to kind of, point it out. You talked about the fact that you got your MBA, right? But this program is about Streetwise MBA, right? It's about, connecting that knowledge that you got with real-time and practical resources and information and solution to take your business to the next level. So did you feel like that was a good marriage between your actual MBA and then the practical information that you got from the program?
Absolutely. You know, as I mentioned, you know, that gave me the opportunity to focus and work on my business, right? Yeah. I had formed a business, I had grew a business, but oftentimes when you are a small business, you are in the trenches doing the work, you don't get an opportunity to sit down and kind of get the holistic view as to how your business, what your business represents, what the mission of your business is, what the vision of your business is. So this opportunity here was very timely, as it allowed me to kind of step back and look at what I had created and gave me the opportunity to further build it. So my MBA definitely I was blessed to get that, but the Street MBA, you know, allowed for me to spend much more practical time within my business.
That's awesome. And congratulations to you on all that you were able to accomplish. And just, you know, I love so much of what you said, but that working on your business versus working in your business, I think that it was a key point that you made, that the program allows you to really focus on. And now that we're dealing with COVID-19, you know, how has your knowledge from what you've learned in this program helped you to pivot? I'm just curious, because it seems like you get so much information and you were strategically able to implement that. How has it helped you in this COVID-19 reality?
So, you know, because of the fact that I was in the program, I was able to create partnerships, right? I was able to actually do business with certain other business owners that were participating in the program. So that was one way. You know, we talked, I believe you talked about capacity and partnership and return on investment. So that was the initial immediate return on investment for me to invest my time in the business. I believe Kevin Alexander said about, you know, the 3 points that he believes are very important, which is invest in yourself, invest in others, invest in God. So therefore, you know, I was right in line because I was able to kind of use the program and can move forward and create additional business. The other thing that allowed me to do is, since I had the time to sit down and work on my business, I was ready, right? I was ready when they came and knocking on the door to say, okay, we have a grant opportunity for you. We have a loan application for you. Can you present to us the right documentation in order to be able to apply for those type of programs and successfully gain those type of programs? I was already prepared because I had gone through the program, you know, with Manage Forward. So therefore my documentation was ready. And I was poised to be able to respond to whatever inquiry that was presented as part of, you know, the requirements that were presented themselves as part of COVID. So yet another way to pivot, right? Because you are poised now to address any kind of situation when it presents itself.
Absolutely. So that also created some tangible results. You talked about partnerships. You talked about, you know, the way in which you were able to pivot. Can you give a detailed example of some of those tangible results that we're talking about that you were able to do? Just another that someone listening who might be, and you're a service-based company, correct?
Service-based company.
Right.
So one of the other results was, you know, as I mentioned, partnerships. You know, so therefore I am in the IT sector, and because of that, I was able to kind of position myself even in a better position because of where we are now, because I had the knowledge and the know-how to be able to understand how to respond in this type of situation, since I had already been functioning in technology, and be able to help other businesses do the same thing. I don't know if that's specific enough, and did I respond correctly?
There's no wrong response. It's just the truth. And I just wanted people to hear it and hear an example, because a lot of times service-based versus product-based businesses feel that there's, you know, a large differential in how they're able to pivot. And I just wanted to share that you had an example of being a service-based business, a tangible result from how you were able to use the knowledge and create an opportunity for you to still get income in this time. And we understand it's a blessing. Not everybody is in the same position, but we hope through these conversations, even if you feel you're bottomed out from the ground up, like the information that we're going to give you is going to help you move in a different direction. It's going to help you with real-time solutions. And that was perfect. And if there's another one that you want to share before we wrap up, feel free. But this is about giving examples to other businesses in this particular MWBE space to really understand that there is hope, you know, that it's all the glass half full or the glass half empty. And in this show, we see the glass half full.
Absolutely, always half full. You know, when I knew that I was coming into this call, I also looked at other businesses that are kind of surrounding me, and, you know, based on my technical perspective, to kind of maybe suggest ideas. Like, for example, you know, when we talked about the example that you gave from the business that was, you know, a bus service business who was able to pivot to be able to deliver food, and maybe even look to create partnerships with a restaurant to provide those products to the community. Another thought that I had was, you know, for companies who perhaps are now going to be limited to servicing people, it's an opportunity to say, okay, fine, let's now service people in a different way, allow for online ordering so that people can place an order and have the product delivered versus having to come to the store and get the product, right? I believe that Kevin Alexander mentioned about Instacart and such, where perhaps those are available to the bigger chains, but they are also the same type of opportunity technology-wise that are available to smaller businesses so that they do not lose the revenue that kept them afloat. So there is definitely opportunities to kind of redefine how you do business and make sure that it allows you the opportunity to be able to stay in business during this time and post-COVID, right?
Absolutely, because there will be a post-COVID. This will not be here forever, and we need to be in position for what that looks like. So thank you so much, Miriam, for just sharing your insight and being an example for all of those who are listening to be hopeful about how you use the ways in which we've been talking about pivoting, and you've been a great example on, you know, utilizing each one of the steps so that you can get on the other side of where we are. So we're going to transition over. We'll bring back Kevin on, and you all can kind of hang out to see if we have any questions before we close. And Danielle is going to explain just some homework. So when you come to From the Ground Up, there's some additional work to do that we hope is helpful to you as you move through and navigate this journey. So Danielle, over to you.
So Stacie and I and Nicole, we thought it would be great to provide a worksheet for all of you. You know, when someone asks you the question is just as important as the answer, because the question should be able to provide you with insight and clarity if you really think about what is being asked. And so we hope that it's just 5 questions. We don't want to take up any more of your time than we need to, but hopefully they're very critical and pivotal questions for you to really, one, think about your business in a new way and really to change your perspective. So the first question is, what changes in perspective or skill sets do you need to become even a better leader of your company? Because it starts with you as the business owner. Your staff, if you have staff, is going to take your lead. You're the leader. So it's critically important that you do some self-introspection to think about, what do you need to do in order for you to change your business? The second question is, who are the people you're taking the ride with? Because right now, regardless if it's your staff or if it's strategic partners, that is critically important. You can have the best strategy in the world, but if you don't have the right people to help you implement that game plan, it's not going anywhere. And so it's very important that you think about who you have surrounding you before you so that they can help you create that game plan. The next question is, what is your brutal reality? We all are in unprecedented times, and we all have had our business in some form or fashion, or even our organization, as Kevin Alexander spoke about, change dramatically. And so the reality is that we have to address and deal with what we're dealing with right now. But again, we have to have the vision and the faith in the people around us to keep moving forward and to transform to be even better than what we were before COVID-19. The next question is, what are the questions that you need to ask yourself, right? In regards to your operations, in regards to your customer base, finances, because that's part of facing the brutal reality, but it also, as it relates to creating your game plan, you have to peel back the onion a little bit. You have to identify, as it relates to your operations, do I have adequate resources? In regards to your customer, do I have to shift and pivot and think about new customers or a new product or service that I can offer my existing customers? Your finances, do I need a loan? How am I going to stay afloat right now? How much money do I have potentially in the bank to keep me afloat? All those things are critically important so that you can move forward. And the last and very important question is, what is your game plan? You have to have a game plan. And then you have to have, again, what we're talking about, the resources to help you implement it. So those are the 5 questions that we want you to answer. And we would love to get your feedback in regards to how they have assisted you in really shifting your perspective and your approach to how you're going to move forward.
Absolutely. And I'm excited about the results from you doing the questionnaire, and we are providing it for you on our website. So what we're going to ask you to do is go to queenstrategy.com. That's queenstrategy.com, and you'll see a tab that says Worksheet. If you click on the Worksheet tab, you'll be able to download those 5 questions that Danielle just shared with you and really take time to fill it out. You know, we're not going to come and give you a grade on it. So no need to worry. We're not going to be there over your shoulder, but we hope we're in your heart with the intention of helping you to really discover the answers and reimagining how you're positioning yourself in this global marketplace post COVID-19 and even during COVID-19. So once again, if you go to queenstrategy.com, go to the Worksheet tab, you'll be able to download it there. So we are grateful that you joined us for our first show. We have lots in store that we want to continue to bring real issues with real-time solutions from the ground up. We're all building, rebuilding, pivoting, and I hope the 5 steps were helpful to you. And as we close out the show, we're going to go to our 2 guests with any final thoughts that they want to share. And then Danielle will share her final thoughts. And our first episode will be in the can, as they say. Kevin, we'll come over to you.
All right, well, I want to thank you for allowing me this platform to speak, Dr. Grant and Danielle and Nicole as well. It's very exciting for me. But what I say to any viewer, any business owner, is we're excited for you and we're here for you, but you have to want it more than us. And we will support you and you're not alone. That would be my final thought to anybody that's serious about growing their business.
Thank you, Kevin. And Miriam?
And I also wanted to sit down and thank Danielle and yourself as well, Dr. Stacie, for giving me the opportunity to talk within your webinar today. Just one last thought, just to put things into perspective. You know, when I participated in the Manage Forward program, the Street MBA, my revenue actually grew 1/3. That's for business owners to realize that it's not time spent in vain. You know, these are tangible results that you can see in your bottom line. So therefore, I would encourage any business owner that wants to sit down and participate in the program to move forward and kind of look into this opportunity within Kevin Alexander's site at the RDRC, right?
You got it.
Right. So thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you, Miriam. And it's been my pleasure. And I'm going to turn it over to my co-host. And of course, we are representing for Nicole Valentine, Esquire, who is behind the scenes doing work with us. It's just a joy to be able to work with these 2 women. Their brilliance and what they bring to our collective partnership and our JV is a blessing. So I just get to say that publicly. But over to you, Danielle.
Well, I just want to say I am so excited. I said that before, and I'm going to say it again, and I mean it from the bottom of my heart, that we get to take this journey with you if you allow us. We want to provide you with everything you need to be successful. And our goal is to continue to bring you information and resources that you can utilize today to take yourself and your business to the next level. But as Kevin said, the buck stops with you. You can have all the resources in your hand, and if you don't utilize them, it's for naught. So the invitation is there, and we hope that you accept the invite to continue to walk with us in this journey. So until the next time, make it happen.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye, everyone. See you next week, Tuesday, 9 a.m. Eastern.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.